Good evening. This is All India Radio and I'm Saira Mujtaba with the news at 9. The headlines. President Ram Nath Kovind says pluralism is greatest strength of India, describes recent constitutional amendment to provide special facilities to poorer children as another step towards an India of Mahatma Gandhi's dreams. Former President Pranab Mukherjee, social activist Nana Ji Deshmukh and renowned singer Bhupen Hazarika to be conferred with Bharat Ratna. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says India remains steadfast in its commitment for closer cooperation with South Africa. Supreme Court refuses to stay implementation of government's decision to grant 10% reservation to economically weaker sections of general category. Information and Broadcasting Ministry decides to increase advertisement rates by 11% to private TV channels. And in sports, Saina Nehwal enters women's singles semifinal of Indonesia Masters Badminton tournament in Jakarta. And in Australian Open tennis, Novak Djokovic to take on Rafael Nadal in the final of men's singles on Sunday. President Ram Nath Kovind has asserted that India belongs to every group, community, religion, identity and individual, as pluralism is its greatest strength and example to the world. In his address to the nation on the eve of 70th Republic Day, Mr. Kovind said, Indian model rests on a tripod of diversity, democracy and development. Mr. Kovind said,
India's pluralism is its greatest strength and its greatest example to the world. The Indian model rests on a tripod of diversity, democracy and development. We cannot choose one above the other. We must have all three and we will have all three.
The President described the recent constitutional amendment to provide special facilities for talented children from poorer families as another step to an India of our dreams and that of Mahatma Gandhi. Mr. Kovind said,
In his book, India of My Dreams, Mahatma Gandhi wrote of an India where the poorest will have an effective voice, where there will be no high class and low class, where all communities shall live in perfect harmony, and where women will enjoy the same rights as men. These ideals are a constant reminder of the India that we are building. In this context, the recent constitutional amendment to provide special facilities for talented children from poorer families is another step to an India of our dreams and of Gandhiji's dreams.
Highlighting the significance of next Lok Sabha polls, the President said an election is not just a political exercise but a collective call to wisdom and action. It represents a renewal and a commitment to the goals and hopes for a shared and egalitarian society. He said the country is at a key juncture and decision and action of today will shape the India of the remainder of 21st century. He said this election is only a milestone in the journey towards fulfilling the aspirations of Indian people. The President said
that this election is only a milestone in the journey towards fulfilling the aspirations of our people and building a developed India. India is at the doorstep of eliminating extreme poverty for the first time in memory.
Mr. Kovind said affordable medicines and medical devices and implants are becoming a reality for more and more people, and a great number of Indians than ever previously have access to proper housing with modern sanitation and electricity. He said in the form of facilities like ports and inland waterways, upgraded railways, new metro services, national highways, rural roads and cost-effective air services is bringing people together as never before. He said India has been united and integrated and now it is being networked. Mr. Ram Nath Kovind said the best indicator of social change in India is change towards gender equality and providing equal opportunity to every girl, child and woman. He said young women in the country are moving ahead in every field like academics, creative arts, sports and armed forces. In his address, the President emphasized the need for open communication, honest conversation and unstinted compassion with regard to section and groups that has been historically disadvantaged, and their grievances must continue to be heard and addressed. He said the concept of seva, of devotion to public service and to the broadening of the ambit of justice must get its due. He said these are the guiding principles for India at home as well as abroad. He said these principles shape India's global approach in peacemaking, climate change, mitigation, development partnership, humanitarian assistance and disaster relief. Social activist Nana Ji Deshmukh, renowned singer Bhupen Hazarika and former President Pranab Mukherjee will be conferred with country's highest civilian honour, Bharat Ratna. As per a press communique issued by Rashtrapati Bhavan, Nana Ji Deshmukh and Bhupen Hazarika will be awarded with the honour posthumously. A total of 855 police personnel will be awarded medals on the occasion of Republic Day this year. President's Police Medal for Gallantry have been awarded to 3 personnel. Police Medals for Gallantry have been awarded to 146 personnel. President's Police Medals for Distinguished Service to 74 personnel and Police Medal for Meritorious Service to 632 personnel. All 3 President's Police Medal for Gallantry have been awarded to CRPF personnel. President has also approved the conferment of Jeevan Raksha Padak awards on 48 persons. Defence Minister Nirmala Sitharaman today conferred Raksha Mantri Padak and commendation cards to NCC cadets for their exemplary performance and devotion to duty. The investiture ceremony was held at NCC Republic Parade Camp 2019 at Delhi Cant. Raksha Mantri Padak was instituted in 1989 and given to the most deserving cadets every year for exceptional service of highest order. Addressing the gathering, the minister said, since its inception in 1948, the NCC has grown phenomenally and today over 13.2 lakh are enrolled with NCC. Nation will celebrate 70th Republic Day tomorrow. The main function will be organized at Rajpath in the national capital, where President Ram Nath Kovind will take the salute of the parade. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa will be the chief guest at the Republic Day Parade. The tableau of 16 states and union territories and 6 central ministries will participate in the Republic Day Parade. Around 25,000 security personnel have been deployed across the city and security has been beefed up at strategic locations in central Delhi. This is All India Radio giving you the news. For quick news updates, follow us on Twitter at AIR News Alerts. Prime Minister Narendra Modi today said India remains steadfast in its commitment for closer cooperation with South Africa, bilaterally as well as multilaterally. In his address at India-South Africa Business Forum this evening, Mr. Modi said trade between India and South Africa has crossed the $10 billion mark in 2017-18. Mr. Modi said,
"We remain steadfast in our commitment for closer cooperation bilaterally as well as multilaterally. In recent times, there are new beginnings and interesting growth stories between 2 old friends. Trade between India and South Africa is on the upswing and has crossed the $10 billion mark in 2017-18.
The Prime Minister said that India's investment into South Africa is constantly growing. He called upon all Indian and South African government agencies, investment promotion organizations and business leaders of both countries to work proactively to realize its true potential. The Prime Minister said,
"I call upon all Indian and South African government agencies, investment promotion organizations, as well as business leaders of both countries to work proactively to realize the true potential. I was pleased to see that there has been significant participation and presence from African countries in our states."
Mr. Modi said India is on its way to becoming the 5th largest economy globally. He said India has jumped to the 77th position in the latest edition of World Bank's Ease of Doing Business report, improving 65 places in the last 4 years. He said government is making necessary changes and reforms in important sectors of the economy, and programs such as Make in India, Digital India and Startup India have caught the imagination of the world. Speaking on the occasion, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa said that a number of South African companies have shown interest to invest in India.
We recognize and appreciate the reforms undertaken by India on improving the investment environment, which will encourage more South African companies to enter the Indian market. A number of South African companies have shown great interest in investing in the Indian market, and we brought with us a fairly large business delegation from South Africa composed of people who are willing to look at the Indian market with greater interest.
Earlier in the day, Prime Minister Modi and President Ramaphosa held wide-ranging talks on cooperation in defence and security, trade and investment, skill development, education and technical cooperation, and multilateral forums. After the talks, India and South Africa exchanged 3-year strategic program of cooperation from 2019 to 2021. Information and Broadcasting Ministry has decided to revise the advertisement rates offered by the Bureau of Outreach and Communication, or BOC, to private TV channels. The ministry in a statement said the revision would lead to an increase in rates of around 11% over the rates of 2017 in respect of most of the private TV channels. It said it could be of higher percentage for some others as per their reach and TV ratings. The Supreme Court has refused to stay the operation of the centre's decision to grant 10% reservation to economically weaker sections of general category. The court, however, said that it will examine the centre's decisions to grant quota. A bench comprising Chief Justice Ranjan Gogoi and Justice Sanjeev Khanna issued notices to the central government on various petitions challenging the validity of the Constitutional Amendment Act granting reservation to poor belonging to general category. A new 5-judge constitution bench has been constituted in the Supreme Court to hear Ram Janmabhoomi Babri Masjid land title dispute in Ayodhya. Justices Ashok Bhushan and Abdul Nazir have been now included in the new constitution bench. And in sports, Indian shuttler Saina Nehwal entered the semifinals of the Indonesia Masters Badminton tournament after a straight-game win 21-7, 21-18 over Pompavi Chochuang of Thailand in Jakarta today. In the semi-finals, Saina will face the winner of the quarter-final match between Chen Xiaoxin and He Bin-chiao, both of China. In the other game, Olympic silver medalist PV Sindhu crashed out of the tournament after losing to Rio Olympics gold medalist Carolina Marin in Jakarta. In Australian Open tennis, world number 1 Serbian tennis star Novak Djokovic will take on second seed Rafael Nadal of Spain in the singles finals of the tournament on Sunday. In the second semi-finals today, Djokovic defeated Luca Pouille of France 6-0, 6-2, 6-2 at Rod Laver Arena in Melbourne. Earlier, Rafael Nadal of Spain defeated the Greek youngster Stefanos Tsitsipas in the first semi-final yesterday. Meanwhile, Petra Kvitova from Czech Republic and Naomi Osaka from Japan have reached the women's singles Grand Slam finals. They will clash in the final tomorrow. India and New Zealand will play the second and one-day international of the 5-match series in Mount Maunganui tomorrow. The match will begin at 7:30 a.m. Indian Standard Time. And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. President Ram Nath Kovind says pluralism is greatest strength of India, describes recent constitutional amendment to provide special facilities to poorer children as another step towards an India of Mahatma Gandhi's dreams. Former President Pranab Mukherjee, social activist Nana Ji Deshmukh and renowned singer Bhupen Hazarika to be conferred with Bharat Ratna. Prime Minister Modi says India remains steadfast in its commitment for closer cooperation with South Africa. Supreme Court refuses to stay implementation of government's decision to grant 10% reservation to economically weaker sections of general category. Information and Broadcasting Ministry decides to increase advertisement rates by 11% to private TV channels. And in sports, Saina Nehwal enters women's singles semi-final of Indonesia Masters Badminton tournament in Jakarta. And in Australian Open tennis, Novak Djokovic to take on Rafael Nadal in the final of men's singles on Sunday. That's all in the news at 9. Good night.